All right, let's jump right in. I want you to think about something for a second. Have you ever considered your life as a work of art? Seriously, not just a random series of events, but a canvas, one that's just waiting to be filled with color, with purpose, and with real beauty. Well, today, we're going to explore this incredible spiritual metaphor that sees our whole existence as a masterpiece, just waiting to be created.
And this right here, this single verse from the Quran, this is our launch pad. It's so poetic, isn't it? It's basically an invitation that makes you ask a huge question. What does it even mean to be colored by God? What is this divine hue? And how on earth do we start reflecting it in our own lives? Well, that's exactly what we're going to get into.
So, to really get a handle on this, we're going to approach it just like an artist would. First up, we'll figure out what is Allah's hue. Then we'll look at the divine palette, the colors we get to use. After that, it's all about preparing the canvas. Then the fun part, painting with action. And finally, we'll see what it all comes together to create a living masterpiece.
All right, first section. What is Allah's hue? Let's explore the core concept. So yeah, first things first, what are we really talking about here? Let's break down this whole idea of the hue of Allah.
Okay, so the Arabic term is Sibghatullah. And the key thing to get right away is that this isn't about becoming God. No way. It's about consciously, deliberately aligning our own character with those divine qualities. It's about reflecting things like mercy and justice and wisdom so that our everyday actions, our choices, start to point to something way bigger than just ourselves.
Okay, next up, the divine palette, the primary colors of character. If we're going to paint this masterpiece of a life, we're going to need some colors, right? So let's look at our divine palette. Think of God's attributes as the primary colors for our spiritual art. These are the essential hues we get to work with.
And where do we start? Well, the first, most foundational color on this entire palette has to be mercy.
And we're not talking about just a passive feeling here. The concept of Rahmah is an active calling. It's about us embodying that boundless mercy in our own lives. It means choosing to forgive, deciding to be kind, and showing compassion, especially when it's the hardest thing to do.
And check this out. This verse frames mercy not just as some nice personal quality, but as a universal cosmic principle. The Prophet's entire mission is described as a mercy to all the worlds. That just shows you how absolutely central this idea is. It's not just a suggestion, it's the foundation.
All right, so the next essential color on our palette, and it's the perfect complement to mercy, is justice. So justice, or adl, isn't just about fairness in a vague sense. It demands unwavering integrity. It's about being totally objective in every single one of your decisions, your dealings. Why? To protect the rights of every individual, and through that, to create real harmony in the whole community.
I mean, this verse, wow, it sets an incredibly high bar. The call here is to stand up firmly for justice, even if it's against yourself, or your parents, or your loved ones. That is an absolute no excuses commitment to what is right, completely stripped of any personal bias.
So to finish off our main palette, we've got to add two more crucial hues. There's compassion, which is all about seeing and honoring the dignity in every single soul and helping to heal wounds. And then there's wisdom, the drive to seek knowledge so we can actually apply all these beautiful ideas to the messy, complex challenges of real life.
Okay, on to our next section, preparing the canvas, which is the path of spiritual transformation. So, we've got our palette, right? It's filled with mercy, justice, compassion, wisdom. But any artist will tell you, you can't just start slapping paint on. First, you have to prepare the canvas. And that is all about the deep internal work.
And this prep work is kind of like a three-step process. First, self-reflection. Really looking at what you've done, what you're putting forward for your future. Then comes purification of the soul, actively getting rid of stuff like arrogance, greed, and anger. And finally, you nurture virtue. You fill that empty space by cultivating positive qualities through things like worship and reflection. Do all that, and you've got a clean, primed canvas, ready to receive those beautiful divine colors.
And that first step, self-reflection, it's not just a good idea. It's rooted right here in the Quran. The instruction is crystal clear. Let every soul look to what it has put forth for tomorrow. That's a direct call for self-awareness, for taking accountability. It's the essential first move for any real change to happen.
All right, time for the next stage, painting with action. We're moving from our inner state to outer expression. So,
The canvas is prepped, our palette is ready to go. Now it's time to actually paint. This is the moment we translate all that inner work into tangible, visible actions in the real world.
So what does that actually look like day to day? Well, it's our good deeds. Simple acts of charity, service, kindness. It's our ethical conduct, acting with integrity and humility in everything we do. And it's bigger than that, too. It's community engagement, actively working to build institutions for welfare, for education, for justice that reflect these core values.
And this right here, this really gets to the core of the whole idea. See how it connects the inner to the outer? This is not about just being a good person by yourself, in a vacuum. The inner work has a direct, public result. When you eradicate greed in yourself, you're paving the way for economic equity in society. When you nurture compassion, you're building the foundation for welfare institutions. It's so clear. Personal transformation is the seed that grows into societal transformation.
But look, creating a masterpiece isn't something you do once and then you're done. It's a lifelong process. It requires constant effort. It demands perseverance. Remembering that with hardship comes ease. It needs regular repentance, like cleaning your brushes, to keep the colors fresh and vibrant. And the whole thing has to be built on a foundation of gratitude, which is like this luminous, shining color that actually invites even more blessings into your life.
So what's the big picture? What happens when you put all these pieces together? When lots of individuals prepare their canvas and start painting with these actions? Well, we get to our final section, a living masterpiece, the vision of a transformed community.
You see, the finished work, the ultimate goal, it's not just one person's beautiful painting. It's an entire gallery. It's a vibrant public tapestry where every single person's life is a different colored thread. And when they're all woven together, the whole community reflects these divine hues, mercy, justice, wisdom, in a stunning, harmonious design.
And this line really brings everything full circle for us. In the grand design, we all play a role, with hearts colored in His control. It's just a perfect reminder that in this massive, grand, artistic project of creation, every single one of us has a unique and important part to play in bringing this masterpiece to life. And so that brings us to one final really personal question. If your life truly is a canvas, and if these incredible divine attributes are your palette, then the only thing left to ask is this: what hue will you add to the masterpiece?